Hey everybody, welcome back to Everything Packers. I'm so excited to be here. The Packers finally had their first preseason game of the year. Everything that I used to get excited about when it came to football started in the regular season, especially when I was younger. Didn't grow up in a family that really loved football like I do, so these games that didn't really matter were even less important. But now that I've grown up and I can obviously dictate my own life, but the excitement surrounding training camp, the excitement surrounding rookies, the excitement surrounding the team as a whole, having Rodgers back and kind of a whole new mindset. Just he seems like a totally different person back there. We've got a lot of different guys who have come in and started to step up and really be playmaker for the Packers, rookies and other guys that have been in the system for a little bit but have taken some time to pop or finally showing up and doing their thing. Today was super exciting. Obviously, we got through the 49ers preseason game on Friday without a lot of major injuries. I know Dallin Levitt left the game with an injury, with an arm injury. It looks like it could be kind of serious. We will wait to see what the Packers say about that. But in other big news today, Elgton Jenkins, Robert Tonyan, and the rookie wide receiver, number 9, Christian Watson, were finally on the field, off the PUP list, and practicing today. We saw Watson out there doing some slant routes with Rodgers. We saw Elgton Jenkins out there just, back at it. And it's so good. The offensive line clearly has issues. There's a lot of guys that are kind of been rotated in and out. Guys having issues blocking assignments, just communication. Having Elgton Jenkins back solidifies one of those spots. I just saw a video recently. You can check it out on my Twitter at S_Joseph_K, where Elgton Jenkins goes up against Aaron Donald and basically just manhandles him, gets him to the ground, and then at the end of the play, Donald was so upset with Jenkins beating him so badly, he ripped down his face mask and was flagged for a 15-yard unnecessary roughness penalty. So Jenkins really got after the best, probably the most premier defensive player in the league, if not in NFL history. I know Shannon Sharp says that he thinks that Donald is probably his number 1, even ahead of Lawrence Taylor and Reggie White. So for Jenkins to just completely dominate him like he had, pretty amazing. That's a huge piece for the Packers as a whole, for their offensive line, for that group. And now we just need Bakhtiari back. That'll be another big piece. Robert Tonyan being back out there is another huge addition for the Packers. We didn't know what his timetable was. He got hurt that October 29th game against the Cardinals, the one that Douglas intercepted at the end to win. But him, Tonyan, and Kylan Hill both got injured in that game. Both tore ACLs, both out for the season. And to have Tonyan back, who's a little bit bigger than Hill, so much quick, is super exciting. I think Hill is kind of coming along too. But as a running back, you got to make those quick in and out cuts. So maybe they're just kind of progressing him a little bit slower. But to see Tonyan out there is so big. Tyler Davis has not really come along like I thought he would. He had a lot of hype and OTAs and everything, but now with the pads on, it hasn't really translated. Dominic Daphne's been on the Packers for a while as that kind of H-back guy. He looks like he's thinned out. He looks like a guy that's fighting for a roster spot. Mercedes Lewis is obviously one of the premier blocking tight ends in the league, run blocking, pass blocking, whatever, but he's going to make the team no matter what, so that's kind of one spot. With Tonyan back, that's 2. Josiah DeGuara will probably be that 3rd, and then it'll be a battle between Tyler Davis and Dominic Daphne for that 4th spot. I did see Elise Mack on some of those special teams plays, so he's another guy to watch for. It'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, but to have Tonyan back just totally bolsters that tight end room. Another guy that Aaron Rodgers trusts, with Aaron Rodgers, a guy that Aaron Rodgers has been around enough that he can really rely on him when it counts, and a guy that can make plays. Tonyan's a big, athletic, basically receiver with the body of a tight end, so to have him back is huge. I'm super excited that he is back today, and then obviously to have that rookie Christian Watson back out on the field. He needs that time to develop. Having a month now with Rodgers is huge. I thought for him to shoot for that Kansas City game to return for preseason would have been ideal. But it looks like he could be out there Thursday since he's cleared for practice off the PUP list. Means he is ready for action. I don't know what they will do with him. Maybe a few reps, but either way, to see Watson back out there is super exciting. 6'4", 6'4.5", 6'5" receiver with 4.3 speed. He's a guy that can come in and just make big plays right away, be a big play threat, be a guy that Rodgers can count on when, to spread the ball around. He's got a lot of guys that are really stepping up. Samori Toure starting to do really well. Romeo Doubs, obviously we've all heard of him. He's pretty much the standout of camp, the standout of the preseason game, the name everybody's been talking about. Him and George Pickens of the Steelers have kind of gone hand in hand. Pickens was, a little bit higher scouted, but Doubs looks like he's right in the mix. 6'2", 200 pounds, can run. I really like Doubs. I know he had one where the ball was kind of ripped right out of his hands for an interception, but these are all learning things, learning tools, learning plays. He will get better. He'll understand what he did wrong there and fix it in the future. I don't see that happening to him anymore after what happened in the preseason game. That is why you play those preseason games, to kind of work out all those kinks. And I think Doubs is super exciting to watch. You got a Lazard who's been stepping it up, and now you get to bring in Watson, who I really am excited about with his size and speed, going along with the other guys like Amari Rodgers, who started to pick it up in the preseason game. Looks like he's a gamer. Looks like he's a guy that might not practice great, but when the game's on the line, he's a guy you can count on. That run after catch for Amari Rodgers was huge in that preseason game for the touchdown, especially when he had Danny Etling throwing him the ball. That's awesome. Etling played really well. He had that deep ball to B.J. Baylor too. So guys are starting to make plays, and to bring these three guys back, three starters, Jenkins, Tanyan, and Watson, off the PUP list today. That is huge for the Packers. I couldn't be more excited to see Watson back at it. It's just a huge piece. Obviously, we traded 2 second-round picks to trade up in the second round to get Watson. Put a lot of eggs in one basket with him. There's other receivers we could have taken. Alec Pierce of the Colts. People are talking about George Pickens, like I said, of the Steelers. So there's question marks around him, and so it's up to him to step up and prove that he should have been taken where he was. And the fact that people are talking about other guys just is kind of a reflection of Watson being hurt the last month here. So getting him back out there is just a huge piece of this Packers offensive puzzle. I'm super excited that he was able to rehab and get back out on the field quicker than I even anticipated. Super exciting for the Packers as a whole. Other guys that were working out with the rehab group today were Enos Gaines, Colin Hill, like I was mentioning, Dante Vaughn, Darnell Savage, who has that hamstring issue, David Bakhtiari still, who they're kind of coming along slow. They interviewed him, and he said, he doesn't really have a timetable, but he's had 3 surgeries in the last year, a few little setbacks, and he doesn't want to push it, but he wants to be ready, and he says as soon as he gets cleared, he will be ready to play at a high level, an all-pro level, and be the guy that he's always been. Super exciting to hear from him. And then Cole Schneider is also with the rehab group. He is out of his walking boot and out working with the rehab group, which is super exciting. And so starting to get some guys back, starting to get some guys rehabbing, and no real major injuries at all to mention. So knock on a million woods. I know that Osiris Mitchell, the USFL receiver, I think he's on IR with the Packers. I heard they released him, but then I saw a note where now he's on injured reserve for the Packers, so maybe they're trying to keep him as a holdover for next year. I think if they put him on IR right now, he's done for the season, so that's something to watch. Packers finally released Gabe Burkich, the kicker out of Oklahoma, who actually kicked really well back at Oklahoma, but he was trash in OTAs and preseason or in training camp, and then preseason game against the Niners, he had a kick. I talked about it in the other video where the 49ers game recap, but he had a kick where it was like 30 yards or so, and it went farther left than it did forward, and it was so far off they thought it was blocked or they thought all this other issues happened, but it literally was just a horrible kick. And I was waiting for the Packers to cut him. I thought they would immediately after the game. I thought maybe during the game they would have cut him after that kick. Obviously, I'm kidding. But, they let go of him today. And they actually brought in a different guy, a guy from the USF, he kicked in the USFL, I believe. He has a 61-yarder, which means he's got quite the leg. So I'll have to look into who he is and his story a little bit more. But I know that what I read about him is he was not an accurate kicker at all, but he has a super leg, and that's really all you can all you can really say about the guy. He kicked that 61-yarder, so that's big for anybody to kick something that far. But obviously in the NFL, it's important to have accuracy. Most of these kicks aren't going to be 60-yarders. They're going to be within 40 yards and within, especially with this Packers offense. So it'll be interesting to see if he can push Crosby. But from everything that I've heard, when Crosby comes back, it's Crosby's job to lose. And I don't really think anybody will be a threat, even a guy that can kick a 61-yarder. If he can't get it between the uprights, it doesn't matter how far it goes. But anyway, so back at practice today, Devontae Wyatt was back out there. He's looking really good. Big number 95. I like his upside. I like what he brings to the table. If you rotate Kenny Clark with Jaron Reed and Dean Lowry, and then you can bring in guys like Chris Slayton, if he can make this team, who I really like his explosiveness in the middle, and then bring a guy like Devontae Wyatt in there. That's a really good rotation. I don't know if Slayton will make it, but you have TJ Slayton as well, who's been stepping up, and Jack Heflin, who's been stepping up too. So a lot of guys on that defensive line who are starting to show up, and it looks like the Packers will have defensive line depth for the first time in a long time. I know we had Jack Heflin last year and Tyler Lancaster, but I mean, having Lowry, Lancaster, and Heflin as their backups to Kenny Clark really is not depth. Now you bring in Jaron Reed, you have drafted Devontae Wyatt, so it's starting to kind of come together on that defensive line, which makes it easier for those linebackers and other position groups to make plays when you have guys eating up blocks on that defensive line. So Tanyan was out blocking alongside Mercedes Lewis. It's Tanyan's first full practice since last October, like I said, when he tore his ACL against the Cardinals. The offensive line today was Yash at left tackle, John Runyan Jr. at left guard, who has been playing really great football. I have liked what I've seen out of him. He looks like he is ready to be a starter wherever they put him. Josh Myers at center, he's been doing well. Jake Hansen sitting there at right guard, and then Royce Newman there at right tackle. I just really like what I see from all these guys. They're starting to come along. There's some communication issues, I get it, but they're young. But what I like from their individual battles, it seems like they're starting to figure it out. Zach Tom did get some work at left guard for John Runyan Jr. Didn't look like Runyan was hurt or anything like that, but the fact that they keep bringing Tom in shows that they're not completely sure with their starting five on the offensive line. Bringing Jenkins back in sooner, that'll kind of solidify one spot. And as these guys get healthy and start showing, if Bach can come back and Jenkins can come back, that'll really solidify spots. And then wherever you plug and play will pretty much work itself out because you have guys that are so good at their respective positions. Today, Rashawn Gary made anybody who he went up against on the offensive line look silly. Working against Royce Newman, he just completely blew him up. Rashawn Gary is going to have a big year. I look for him to have 15-plus sacks. He's on a defense that he doesn't have to be the only guy out there making plays. Preston Smith only missed one game in his whole career, even with the Washington Commanders and now with the Packers. He's consistent. These two middle linebackers are going to be so exciting to watch. Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker are 6'3" and run 4.5 40s. They're all over the field. They're super fast, flying sideline to sideline. If Quay's not there, Campbell's there. If Campbell's not there, Quay's there. And if they're both there, they're both there, Runs with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. It looks like it's going to be a nice run. And then you got the closing speed from Campbell and Walker, which is just mind-blowing. It's really come along. These guys are starting to really show up. Quay Walker, the rookie, was calling the defensive plays during the preseason game. That's a huge step for the youngster. And Campbell is just an amazing teacher, amazing player, a guy that just comes in and does his job, does his work, and shows up every single day. A guy that I really enjoy watching. Probably the biggest piece to the Packers 2022 season, besides the signing of Aaron Rodgers for whatever, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, whatever they did. They got Campbell for the next 5 years, $50 million, which is pretty good considering, guys like Bobby Wagner got about that for the Rams and everything. So to get the a first-team All-Pro middle linebacker for a decent price, on top of the fact that everybody's still sleeping on the fact that, okay, he was a one-hit wonder. I don't think so. I think he's here to stay. Watch for Devondre Campbell to have another big year and Quay Walker to follow close behind him. This defense has been pretty much all over the Packers offense. Obviously, the Packers offense has made some plays. There's some nice... Lazard has made some nice catches today. Cobb had some nice plays. The offense was running up-tempo. And Rodgers was hitting guys. He hit Tyler Davis with a few nice ones. There was a play where Dillon and Quay Walker collided real hard. It wasn't malicious. There's two guys playing real tough. That Dillon's a big, powerful back, and that Quay is a young, hungry linebacker. So, Lazard wasn't too happy with what happened with Quay, and then Alexander kind of backed up Quay on the play. Just exciting to see that kind of tenacity and that ferociousness when it comes to teammates. It's all out of respect and love, but you just like to see the guys going at it full force and just really wanting to show the coaches that they're working their butts off out there. Mercedes Lewis, like I keep saying, he's a guy that's just a consistent. He's going to be in his 17th year. He's been doing it for a long time. When he was with the Jaguars back in the day, he was more of a pass catcher, but his blocking is what has really excelled or pushed him into this long career that he's had. He's showing, Tanyan some pass pro tips on the sideline, and having a guy like Mercedes Lewis, who's just such a pro's pro, showing these young guys how it's done and what to do and all that, it's been huge. I just really like kind of the mix of veterans, young guys, rookies, and guys who are trying to prove themselves again. It's a good mix of players, a lot of good talent on this Packers team, and Goody really put together an exciting roster this year. Rashawn Gary, there's plays all day where he's blowing up this side, blowing up that side, getting in Rodgers' face, just making it tough for anybody to do anything, and that's what you want to see. I think, like I keep saying, Gary's gonna have a big year, but lined up against next to Clark and with Smith, Wyatt, and Jaron Reed's been having a hell of a camp. He really has. He's been doing so much when it comes to pass. Rushing the passer and stopping the run. I just like what I've seen out of him. He's a guy to watch for sure. Another guy that's been coming along, he had a sack in the preseason game, is J.J. Enagbar. I liked him coming out. Obviously, he went to South Carolina. He played against some really higher up talent, and for him to come along, it might take him a little bit to kind of get up to speed with this NFL, but he's starting to come along, and I really like what I see out of him. He's starting to figure it out, and that's going to be scary if the Packers can get another guy on that outside linebacker group that can play and rush the quarterback. Today, Vernon Scott was running with the ones. Like I said, Darnell Savage is still out with that hamstring, so Vernon Scott's kind of solidified that safety 3 role over Sean Davis. Even though I like Sean Davis more kind of coming into preseason, it looks like it's Vernon Scott's job to lose. And if he wins that job fair and square, that's all that I care about. I just want guys out there that are going to make plays and do their job. Doesn't really matter who, as long as it's the best player for the job for the Packers. Scott had really nice coverage in the back of the end zone on Allen Lazard today, and just making plays. He's making plays. He's not out of position, and he's working with the ones well. So I'm excited to see kind of how he transitions. This New Orleans game might be the game where they play most. I don't think Rodgers is going to play, but if starters are going to play a game, it's going to be this one against New Orleans in case somebody gets injured. They have more time to heal. that Kansas City game is going to be a final rehearsal for guys on the bubble, just to see get one last look at the players and who might be kind of on the line to make the roster. So this next game could be exciting for some of these guys. We might see a little bit more than we did against the 49ers. There's a lot to be excited about, though, because Romeo Doubs had a lot of nice plays. Juwan Winfrey had a lot of nice plays. The young quarterback, Jordan Love, played well here and there, Danny Etling really showed up. He was exciting. Tyler Goodson played well. B.J. Baylor actually did okay. It was kind of funny seeing Dexter Williams out there again. We remember him from 3 years ago. The sixth rounder out of Notre Dame. And so it was just exciting to have Packers football back. There was a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. The Packers did lose, which always sucks, even though it's preseason. A lot of 49ers fans are like, you guys can't even beat us, even if it doesn't count. But the 49ers have not gone on to win anything, even after they beat us in the playoffs. So I don't think there's much to really say in that respect. Could get into it all day, but it is what it is. But the Packers, the rookies, they're starting to show up. We're getting guys healthy again. There's, knock on wood, no major injuries so far. And these young guys who, kind of coming in, we weren't really sure what they would do or how they would be. It's nice to have them come in and start to perform. You got Doubs, the 4th rounder, already kind of making plays. You got Samari Tor, 7th rounder, already kind of making plays. Zach Tom came in, he's doing well. You got undrafted guys like Ladarius Hamilton was starting to come along, but I think he's out still. But still, it's just, there's a lot of pieces, a lot of different players that are starting to step up, and you're starting to see some of these guys separate themselves from other players when it comes to the position battles. Like I said, Vernon Scott's kind of taking over that spot. That outside linebacker, you have a few guys that are kind of rotating in and out with, Ramsey and Garvin, who's been playing well as of late. And then, like I said, an Agbar and Tipa, who I think Tipa got hurt. I'm going to have to look into that. I haven't seen his name today, so I'm thinking he's kind of out, but he wasn't with the rehab group, and I didn't see any real injury list yet for today. So it's kind of tough with training camp because there's so many guys moving in and out, so much different stuff going on. Some guys are rehabbing, some guys are just, veteran rest or whatever or you may have you. So it's a lot of different moving pieces, and it's interesting to see. It's kind of complicated to see where everybody's at each day, see where they're at. A guy might not be practicing with that group, so you might think he's not there, might be hurt, but he's out doing something else, maybe on special teams or whatever. So it's just, this roster forming is going to be an exciting next 2 or 3 weeks. I think they have to knock it down to the 85 this Wednesday, and then go into the Saints game with 5 less guys, and then it kind of progresses later. Like after that, you knock it down again, and then you knock it down again for that final 53. Do get to keep 16 guys on the practice squad this year, so that's almost like a little bit of an extended roster. The only issue is guys or teams can steal those guys, so it will be interesting to see who the Packers keep, who they kind of put on their practice squad, who they don't put on the practice squad and keep because they don't want them to get stolen. I know Danny Davis made a big play for a touchdown in the preseason game, and there's a lot of guys who are kind of on that line who other teams might be watching if they have positions of need. Packers are always a team that teams go after their practice squad guys because we're normally pretty good, and that means that we have an extended roster of talent. Taysom Hill a couple years ago, and Jay Kumaro is on the Bills. I know he fumbled in that game, but a lot of different pieces, and it's just really exciting to see how this roster comes together. Rodgers, 2-minute drill, Rodgers with Gary in his face. I just saw the replay on that. It's so exciting that Gary has come from being number 1 recruit out of high school, going to Michigan and not really living up to his expectations, but everybody saw the freak athleticism that he had. He got drafted, I think, 12th pick overall, which was high, I thought, for Goody and the Packers to get him at. But then he's just developed. He's had Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith teach him and show him the way, show him how to be a Packer, show him how to be a pro's pro. and show him how to be a leader. And he's kind of taken that with 100% energy and full force, and has become that guy that other teammates, youngsters, anybody can really rely on. And he goes out there, uses his mouth and his voice to get the guys excited and kind of set that precedent. And then on the field, he shows everybody by example what is expected as a Packer and for the Packers, and what everybody around the team expects each guy to do. So it's just awesome to see him kind of take on that role. And you can see it with his play that he has really formed himself into an elite pass rusher. I think he's top 5 in the league for sure. His numbers will match that after this year. He could go out and have a crazy year. I'm trying to be modest and a little bit humble by saying 15 sacks. That's about just under 1 a game. I still think he might have some multiple sack games like he did last year. And if he starts racking some of those up, his sack total could be crazy high. 1 a game is not out of the question. I do not think for a guy of Rashawn Gary's talent, and with all the other pieces on defense, it may be a crazy year for this Packers defense as a whole. I couldn't be more excited. And as we start getting more Packers offensive linemen back, offensive playmakers back, tight end, wide receivers, this Packers offense is starting to come together, especially with the emergence of these young guys. Couldn't be more excited with how things are progressing for the Packers in this preseason and this training camp. We will see how everything else goes along in the next few weeks. Like I said, Thursday, August 19th, they have the New Orleans Saints at home at 7 o'clock. And then August 25th, another Thursday, they go to Kansas City and play the Chiefs at 7 o'clock. Love will get to go back to Kansas City and play again. But Love having 2 touchdowns and 3 picks in the first half, I mean, he had a lot of opportunities, a lot of growth there. That's a lot of different things happening. I mean, sometimes that's a whole game for some people, but just the picks weren't always his fault. The touchdowns were really nice throws. He made some nice reads. He was on top of it. Good scrambles here and there. I liked what I saw out of Love. He still has a lot of growing and learning to do, but you can see that the raw tools are starting to develop. You can see that the gifts are there. The kid has an arm. The kid kind of is starting to show that he can be a player in this league. I know a lot of people are, there's just so much Packer hate that it's hard to, talk really good about it because there are, 3 interceptions looks bad, but the guy, Dobbs had it ripped out of his arm. The other one, Winfrey kind of, missed one. And then the other one, 2 receivers ran the same route, and there was just, it was, LaFleur didn't put all the blame on Love. Obviously, he'll have to make better decisions or maybe throw a better ball or easier or a more catchable ball, things of that nature. But a lot of it was not on him, and it's just, it's exciting to see the development that he's gone through, all the progress he has made. And it looks like he's a guy that is just going to continue to develop. And with a guy like Rodgers, who is starting to take him under his wing a little bit more in a nicer way, I think it will pay dividends for Love's future and really turn him into a player that can have success in this league long term. So, all right, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Subscribing to the channel really helps, and I only have like 11 followers, so help me keep building this channel up. I love the Packers. I just want to keep talking about the Packers, and I think I have a lot of great insight and knowledge when it comes to the green and gold. I've been a fan for over 30 years and pretty much have a photographic memory when it comes to stats, players, rosters, height, weight, college, all that stuff. Everybody used to give me flack because I know all that, but I used to spend hours playing Madden, adjusting the rosters to make it so that it was the legitimate Packers versus the legitimate whoever we were playing, and I'd go against and try to make it as realistic as possible. So that was what I spent my childhood doing, on top of making plays in my math notebook during school. So most of my life has been surrounded by football, and I just am super excited to be able to share my thoughts and ideas with everybody, on top of talking about an organization like the Green and Yellow that I've just loved and admired so much since I was a little. They truly are just an inspiration for me and have been such a big part of my life forever that I just love it. And so don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.